Let us not forget everything that happens. It's by the will of Allah. Holy will. It's time to unite and stand, and we will be the best amongst men. It's not time to be extreme or do the unthinkable, but to stand together as one. Tune into Sunnah followers, stream it every day, various platforms. Trust me, you'll find a way. Sunnah followers. In the morning, hands and feet get wet, my Lord. Get wet, get wet, my Lord. Wet, my Lord. Wet, my Lord. Wake up in the morning, hands and feet get wet. Get ready for our conversation, deep and in depth. Obligations are serious and need to be met. So I prepare so I won't forget. Go ahead and make a good intention. Yeah, yeah. You can wrap up some good things. Yeah, make a donation to the side and go from left to make it right. Just remember and don't lose sight. Jannah is the goal. Jannah is the goal. Jannah is the goal. You will make it through. The fitness awaken you. With her and Sunnah by your side is a place where it will thrive. You will make it through. You will make it through. The fitness awaken you. With her and Sunnah by your side is a place where it will thrive. You will make it through. With her and Sunnah by your side is a place where it will thrive. You will make it through.
Oh, okay. Can you guys see me, hear me now? Okay. Ina alhamdulillah wa salat wa salam ala wa rasulullah. I welcome everybody to our series of diluting wal bara. This series, and this is based on the book written by Sheikh Karim Abu Zaid. And for those of you who do not have a copy of this book, yes, indeed, you do want to get a copy of it, because this book should be a part of every English speaking person's library. Because what the Sheikh did in this book, he broke down in this whole series, which is a trilogy, the entire trilogy. Sheikh Karim Abu Zaid breaks down the meaning of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, which is the shahada that we pronounce all the time. But if I were to ask the average Muslim, what does that shahada mean? What does those words, do the words I just pronounced mean? You know, they can't tell me. If I were to ask, what does La ilaha illallah imply? They can't tell me. Let me test it out. Who can tell me? What, when we profess La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, what are we professing to believe in? Let me see what type of answers I would get from you guys who come here every day. I should get some good answers. Anybody like to try it? When we testify to La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what are we testifying to believe in? What are we testifying to have as Muslims? Can anyone answer that? Let's see. Get some volunteers before I start at the top and go all the way down. It'll be kind of embarrassing if I call your name and you ain't got an answer. Let's try it. Come on.
Testifying to the acknowledgement that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one worthy to be worshipped, not his creation, anything else. Also, that we acknowledge him that his final prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Muhammad, is the one that we should be following. But we're also testifying that we believe in his books. We believe in his angels. We believe in what he has sent down to us, and knowing that he is totality. We believe in all his names. So we're basically just giving a testament and an acknowledgement that what Allah has put within us is what it is. It's just simple. So that's why we acknowledge the Shahada.
This is beautiful, except you left out a very important part. Okay, listen to what she said. When we testify, what are we testifying to? She said the first two things we testifying to, but that only Allah is the only deity worthy of worship. That's the number one. And also that we believe in everything he commanded us to believe in, his books, his angels, his prophets, the day of judgment, all that. And what else? What is it that everybody forgets? That none of you should forget. But it's the reason why Allah is sending his punishment to us today, because we don't even recognize or realize the third part. What is this class about? What is the whole purpose of this series? What else does that Shahada contain? Go ahead.
Knowing what we should, stay with, be associated around with, and those things that we should strongly stay away from.
No.
Those things that no.
Your microphone is bad, but no, you need to hit it on the head. I can't understand that because your mic is messed up, but you're doing a good job. Who can jump in here and help her? What's the third part that nobody mentions but lailanasheeba?
What's the question? I just came in.
Somebody help her out. Somebody, rest of y'all that's in here.
Is it that?
Go ahead, baby.
Is it that the Prophet Muhammad was the last messenger?
Yo, she already named that. That's the second part of the Shahada. She already gave us the first. When we testify, we declare La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. We are testifying that we believe that only Allah is worthy of worship. We're also testifying that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his last and final prophet. And we're also testifying that we believe in everything Allah commanded us to believe in, all his books, all his angels, all his prophets, the day of judgment, and his decree. But what is the last part that nobody has mentioned that's included in that Shahada? Go ahead.
Is that that we give our allegiance to the believers no matter where they are at in the.
Okay, you cut off.
I said, is it that we also testify that we give our allegiance to all the believers, no matter where.
Okay, and what else? Why come y'all can't get the most important part, this last part, complete and correct? What else are we testifying to? Not only do we believe that Allah is the only deity worthy of worship, and that the Prophet Muhammad is the last and final messenger. And not only are we testifying that we believe in everything he told us to believe in, his books, his angels, his prophets, the day of judgment, but also we're testifying that, what's the last part? What is this class about?
Our allegiance.
What is your allegiance? This is why we're being punished. We don't even know where our allegiance is. Just the law. You guys don't know what is our allegiance to.
Our allegiance is to all the believers on earth, just like Isa said. So we believe what you just said, and then our allegiance is to Allah, the Prophet, and then to all.
Why come y'all don't say the whole three things? Our allegiance is not just to Allah. Our allegiance is not just to all Muslims, but it's to the Prophet Muhammad and the religion of Islam. Write it down, Muslims. Because if you look at what's going on in the world, we don't have that allegiance. Our allegiance is not to Allah. We're choosing other ideologies over his. We lost allegiance to the Prophet Muhammad centuries ago. We don't follow his sunnah. We follow fatwa. And we definitely see that there's no allegiance to all the Muslims with the racism. We're only concerned with Gaza. We don't care about no other place in the world. This is why y'all can't answer. Write it down. What does the testimony of faith? What are we testifying to? That's the pledge of allegiance. By the way, when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam accepted the pledge of allegiance, I'm using all English, no Arabic. I'm not using no Arabic terminology so that you guys understand what I'm saying, because we don't understand our religion. We think Arabic is a religion when it's just a language. Okay? Whenever the people came to pledge allegiance to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that consisted of them embracing Islam as their newfound religion and their new way of life. What did he have them testify to? Number one, that Allah is the only deity worthy of worship. That's number one. Number two, that he, the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is his last and final prophet that must be. Number two, he told, obey me and follow me. That's number two. Number three, that testimony of faith, which is our pledge of allegiance, that we reaffirm every time we make salat and recite that tashahud, but we don't know what we're saying. It also entails believing in everything that Allah commanded us to believe in, all his prophets, all his books, the day of judgment, the angels, and also his decree. We forget that. That's why we can't handle the trials of life. We can't accept what's going on in the world because we don't accept Allah's decree. And then the third part of that allegiance is that that pledge is that your allegiance, now that you have become a Muslim, now that you have taken on Islam, which is total submission as your lifestyle, that means your allegiance is only to Allah and to me, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to anyone who declares themselves a Muslim, regardless of what tribe they come from, regardless what their race is, what their color is, what their country is. And that finally your allegiance is to nothing but Islam. That's the pledge that everybody took. That's what la ilaha illallah means when we break it down in English. It's become distorted, the meaning of it today. People don't know what they're testifying to today. We got some uneducated Muslims that think we're supposed to do background checks. We don't have to do a background check on a person who wants to become Muslim. First of all, you can give yourself shahada. You don't have to have anyone give it to you. You can declare that your allegiance to Allah yourself. But if you are going to have a person do it, This is what that person should explain to you. You don't have to do a background check. We don't investigate people like that because you can't see if a person's sincere or not. That's in between them and Allah. But you have to break down like the prophet did. He broke down, this is what you're doing. If you join me, you are pledging to do these things here. That's the meaning of the Shahada. Don't forget, wala wa bara, which refers to having allegiance. Allegiance to who? To Allah first, then to the Prophet Muhammad, and then to all the Muslims, and then to the entire religion of Islam. Y'all understand that? Why do we include that? Why did the Prophet include the religion of Islam? Because unlike Christianity, unlike Judaism, you can't pick and choose. Our religion has been completed and perfected for us by Allah. He didn't leave out anything. He didn't forget anything. He taught us how to live our lives, how to handle ourselves in good times, in bad times. Out of his mercy, he even told us what things will cause him to punish us. And then to show how merciful Allah is, he even tells us what to do when he sends his punishment. But are we abiding by what he says today? No. We make up our own rules. We're making up our own laws. We're doing the same thing that the Christians and Jews did. We're letting the leaders amongst us decide what's lawful to do and what's not lawful to do. Okay? Write that down. The next time I ask you guys, what is the testimony of faith entail, y'all better give it all. All four of those components. Don't leave not one out. Teach it to your children. Rehearse it with yourself. So that's what this class is all about. This whole trilogy that Sheikh Kareem Abu Zayd, may Allah bless him and forgive him of all his sins. Ameen. Okay, he put this trilogy together. If you have not bought this book, you need to go to Amazon and get it. Get all three of them. We already went. The first of the trilogy is Get to Know Your Lord. It took us 2 years to go over that. And then the second of the trilogy is this, Diluting Wala wa Bara. It consists of 2 volumes. Volume 1, which we completed last year. And this is the one we're starting now, Volume 2, which we're just in the beginning of it. Okay, it's a 500-page book. We're on page 140, so we got a long way to go. Okay, so get this book because it breaks down in detail what it means to believe in Allah, what our purpose is, why we were created. And yesterday, we spoke about how in this chapter, the book, what Sheikh Kareem Abu Zayd did was broke down al-wala, which refers to allegiance, and gave examples of how to apply that allegiance in our everyday lives. And then yesterday we went over al-bara, which is distancing yourself. You know, we gave examples of scenarios and situations that may call upon us to distance ourselves. Because we're living in an environment, we're living in a society that's not based on belief in Allah. So we have to distance ourselves from some things. For example, we have to distance ourselves. You may find yourself having to call off from work on Christmas, just so you can distance yourself from the celebrations. You might have to take your children out of school for Halloween. Take your children out of school for Valentine's Day, because that's the only way we can distance them from those ideologies, those moralities that contradict our belief system as Muslims. And when I was a kid, I grew up in the 60s. When I grew up in the 60s here in America, that was the civil rights movement. I told you guys how my mother and my stepfather, they used to have to, and Mukhtar's father, who was the imam of our mosque, they would have to go to our schools I remember Imam Mukhtar's father and my stepfather going to let them know that we don't pledge allegiance. We don't pledge allegiance to a flag. That was a big deal because in the 60s, every child had to stand up and pledge allegiance. But thanks to the Muslims, you know, we got that. That was a violation of our constitutional rights. That was a civil rights era. But I remember my mother and my godmother going up in my school, telling my elementary teacher she cannot stand up and give allegiance to no flag because her allegiance is to Allah and to the Prophet Muhammad and to the religion of Islam. And then they still didn't get it. They would try to sneak and make me do it. And then I remember my stepfather and Mukhtar's father going up to the school, letting them know she don't do that. We don't do that. We don't do that. So we fought hard. The 60s was a big era here in America. We Muslims, we didn't have schools and Muslim schools and all that, and Muslim stores and all that crap. We were by ourselves fighting and struggling and picketing and filing lawsuits to get acknowledged. Now the kids today take it for granted. Muslim kids today are spoiled and pampered. Muslims today are pampered. Don't have to fight for nothing. We take everything for granted. Everything gets handed to us. But anyway, you still may have to, for those of us who practice the religion and we practice it correctly, you may still find yourself having to remove your children from school for certain holidays like Halloween and Christmas and Valentine's Day, just to distance your kids from that which contradicts Islam. Well, today, I'm going to give you guys a wonderful story that Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid shares in the next pages to end this chapter. He gives the story of a group of youth people back in the early days before Islam, who also had to preserve. They were living in a society that was not filled with faith. They were living in a society which had deviated away from obedience to Allah. So they had no choice but to distance themselves from that society by leaving, you know, having to move to another part of the land. And this is the story of the companions of the cave, a great reminder and a great example of wala and bara, or allegiance, and disassociation being put to use. So let me put the PowerPoint up on the screen. Please make sure you guys have me on your big screen TV. Turn the channel, turn to YouTube. Yes, we're on TV. You can watch me right now on TV. Put it on channel Sunnahfollowers. Yeah, go to YouTube, type Sunnahfollowers, and you will see the live, and you will see me probably making a funny face. I always make the funniest faces on TV. But you will just, you know, put me on a live screen TV for the kids, and let me put the PowerPoint up here. Let me, you know, they changed this. Wait a minute. Here we go. Wait a minute. Let me make it nice. Hold on. Is that it? Or do I take down this? Okay, give me a second. Y'all know I got to work this. Yeah, and okay. All right, let's start with the Zoom people first. Let me share the screen with them. Okay, this says stop screen sharing. Let's see what that does. Okay, y'all hold on for a second while I go to the Zoom people. Do them first. Wait a minute, where's the PowerPoint? Here we go. With my PowerPoint. I uploaded it. Oh, there it is. I was going to say, I know I uploaded my PowerPoint. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I've never watched me on TV yet. One day I'm going to get to see me. I can't watch me on TV when I'm teaching, so, but I haven't seen it. The sister here is typing how, yes, the children love to watch me live on the big screen. Mashallah. May Allah bless your kids. Okay, I'm getting ready to show it to the Zoomers. There they are. And now I'm coming to you guys on TV. Give me a second. I click on this, and then I click on this, right? This should pop me on there. Am I popped up? There we are. Can you guys see that there? Okay. Now, make it bigger. Move this over. Okay, so here we are. And this is pages 145. We're in the book Diluting Well Better. There's a picture of Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid. This is his book. I like to put the pictures of the people's books so y'all know who you're getting your knowledge from. You should know who you're taking your knowledge from, especially in this day and era where we got all these Ruwaybida people. Well, there's Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid. He's the one that wrote this fantastic book. And then there's me, the teacher, taught by lailanasheeba. Okay, so follow along in your books, pages 145 through 149. And what I want the parents to do while the children are following along on the big screen TV, looking at me on TV, please continue with your phones and take screenshots of the PowerPoint, because this is a lot of information. And at the end of the class, you can print the PowerPoint out, staple it together, and attach it. Take a paper clip, and clip it to page 145 in the book, so you will have the explanation. And we're going to be discussing how the awakening of the fitra in the hearts of those companions of the cave happened and what it did to them, as a great example for us. And so Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid starts off by telling us that the compelling story of the companions of the cave, which is portrayed in Quran verses 14 through 16 of the Surah of the Cave. That's where you can read the story at. It exemplifies a profound awakening. It shows how a person's fitra can not only awaken, but how it will guide you to the principles of allegiance and disassociation. And let's first read the verse of these two verses. Allah tells us in the interpretation of the meaning, and we made their hearts firm and strong with the light of faith, and Allah gave them patience to bear the separation from their relatives and their homeland. When they stood up, they said, our Lord is the Lord of the heavens and the earth. Never shall we call upon a God other than him. If we did, we would indeed have uttered a lie and a word of disbelief. These people, our people, have taken for worship gods other than Allah. Why do they not bring for them a clear proof? And who does more wrong than a person who invents a lie against Allah? And the young men said to one another, and when you leave them and that which they worship, seek refuge in a cave, and your Lord will open up a way for you from his mercy, and he will make easy for you your affairs. He'll give you the things you need. So this is the story as narrated by Allah in the Quran. And again, Allah sent down these verses to the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because the Jews had asked about these people. The Jews had come to the Prophet. They were asking him questions to try to test him, to see if he was a true messenger of Allah. And they asked about the youth of the cave. And when the Prophet narrated these verses, a few of the Jews converted to Islam. A few of the men who had come to question him converted to Islam. All right. So with this story, we witness the resolute stand of a group of believers who were living in a society that had deviated away from practicing Islam correctly. They proclaimed their belief in Allah. They proclaimed his oneness, and they refused to give in to the evil around them and participate in worshiping other than Allah. And when they made this decision, this group of young men, that's when the fitra in their heart awakened. And that fitra in their heart, when it had awakened, it transformed them into the strong men that they became, where they were able to leave their families, leave their country, and go to another part of the world to escape that fitna. What a great, beautiful story. So, when Allah tells us this story, you can see that these people boldly declared their belief when they stood up and said, our Lord is the Lord of the heavens and the earth. We'll never call upon a God other than him. If we did, we would be nothing but an unbeliever. Subhanallah, we may find ourselves as Muslims placed in situations like that. How many of you look around, you put your kids in these non-Muslim schools, and you think your children can be strong and resist the urge to have boyfriends, to give into sex? Most of the children fall victim. It takes a strong child that will stand up and say, I am a Muslim. I'm not going to have a boyfriend. I'm not going to have a girlfriend. I don't do that. If I did that, I would fall out of grace with my Lord. Children are not strong enough in this day and age to resist that. So this is why we don't put our children in non-Muslim schools. Homeschool your children, it's better. And make sure you check out SunnahfollowersShop.org. That's the homeschool from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade, put together by Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid. And it's very low. The cost is very low. If you guys continue to buy these books off of Amazon, it'll keep the price low. Subhanallah. Okay. So this powerful declaration, it marked the inception of these young men's spiritual growth. And it also showed where their allegiance is. Again, what is the purpose of that La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah? What are we declaring? This is what you guys can never remember, but you don't need to ever forget. We're declaring our allegiance to Allah. When those youth spoke up, they were declaring their unwavering allegiance to Allah, to his laws, to his rules, to his commands, and not to the people around them. Okay? And also, this stance was a stance against their society. We got Muslims today, guys, who think that we're supposed to blend in with society. Oh, we're living in America now. We're living in the UK now. Okay, it's different. We can blend in and become a little bit like them. There's nothing wrong with celebrating a birthday. I mean, there's nothing wrong with letting the kids dress up for Halloween, long as they know that we don't worship the devil. No, we're not supposed to blend in. We're supposed to be like these young men were. They took a stand against society's norms, and they reinforced their allegiance to Allah. And look how Allah rewarded them. Allah rewarded them because whenever we sacrifice and whenever we stand up, for Allah, Allah will always reward us in return. Subhanallah. A wonderful story to share in this day and age. So when those youth testified and declared their belief, Allah then rewarded them by making it easy for them to handle the trials that they were faced with. And that's the whole thing, guys. Because we believe in Allah does not mean that life is going to be easy. The rest of our life is going to be spent proving that belief to Allah. So Allah is going to send war. Allah is going to send calamities. Allah is going to send even death. And everything that he sends to us is to see, what are we going to do? How are we going to react? Are we going to fall back upon La ilaha illallah? Or are we going to develop other ideologies that contradict that? other actions that stand between that. These young men stood firm, and Allah then gave them the ability to handle the trials of leaving their family, leaving their country, and going into a cave. And when they went into their cave, Allah preserved them. He caused them to sleep, as you all know. And Allah kept them asleep until all the unbelievers died out. Allah kept them sleeping so that when they did awake, years and years later, they could continue the saga of La ilaha illallah. Subhanallah. So let's look at the expressions of allegiance that was demonstrated by these companions. Number one, they rejected, even though their families and friends tried to get them to worship idols, they rejected it. How many of you are tempted with selling drugs, drinking alcohol, smoking weed? You know it's haram. But no, you cave in and give in to society. Look at a lot of you Muslim women. How many of you are not wearing hijab? Oh, I'm afraid to wear hijab. I'm afraid of what the people think. Well, these youth did not cave in to society. They rejected it. Society. Also, they showed their patience, because it takes patience to obey Allah. It's easier to disobey him. It takes strength and patience to obey him. And by obeying him, we're renewing our commitment to Allah, just as these men did. And also, look how they left their homes. They left their homes, sacrificed everything they had so they can go to another part of the earth to practice Islam correctly. That was a hard thing to do, but they trusted in Allah. They gave up everything and said, we're going to put our trust in Allah, that Allah, as long as we are living, Allah will cause us to survive. We're going to trust in him. He'll find a way for us, a place for us, which Allah did, that cave that they found. So those were examples of allegiance. And also, when you look at the story, you see expressions of distancing. Again, they distanced themselves from their family. They distanced themselves from the sins. They distanced themselves from all of this by refusing to give in to society. They chose the cave to protect themselves from the harmful influences. They chose the cave where they could live free from all of that. And by trusting in Allah's guidance, knowing that Allah will provide for them, they overcame. They were sustained and they overcame. So here you can see through this story a great example of allegiance and disassociation and the reward that it brings. So again, guys, life is not meant to be easy for any of us. The simple fact that we all believe La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, every day of our life is going to be a test. You're going to have to learn how to handle your trials with dignity like these young boys did. Handle your trials of life with humility like they did, and balance. We can't get all emotional over what's going on in the world. We have to remember that everything that's happening in the world is happening because Allah caused it to. This is his decree. There's nothing you or I or anyone else can do to change it or stop his decree. And it's going to get worse because he told us it's going to get worse. But he also told us what to do when he sends war, when he sends this. He said, fall back. Allah tells us in the Quran to fall back upon Tawheed. Do like these young boys did. Fall back upon La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, like they did. But you Muslims today don't even know what La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah it means. So of course we're not falling back. But if we did fall back upon it, we would see the allegiance. And if our allegiance was correct, then our heart would be awakened. We'd have that loyalty and that love and devotion for Allah. We'd find ourselves submitting to his decree, not going around blaming everybody in the world for his decree. We wouldn't find ourselves panicking over his decree. We'd say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi rajiun, and we'd submit to his decree, and then we check ourselves. And see what corrections we need to make. So when he sends it to us, because it's going to come, his wrath is going to come this way too. When he sends it to us, that we can handle it with the humility that the believers over in those parts of the world are handling it with. Okay? And also we know distancing. We see distancing. The believers always come out successful because they live their lives away from that which brings anger from Allah. Oh yeah, Allah says, you know, he will send the wrath to all of us. But when he raises us up, we'll be judged individually. The punishment, the war, the calamity will impact us all. But he will judge us all individually. For those of us who practiced distancing ourselves from that which contradicts Allah's laws, will have a good outcome. So again, the story of these companions of the cave stands as a timeless reminder and a timeless example of how having the correct allegiance and disassociation can transform us. It'll make us stronger Muslims. It'll make us better Muslims. It'll make us Muslims who have earned the love of Allah. And remember, guys, Allah says he's promised he will never, ever, ever allow the hellfire to touch anyone whom he loves. So when you read the news, you look at television, and you look at the idiot TikTok videos that's going around, you know, take a breath. Realize that everything that's happening is because Allah willed it. He's in control. He's the power. Think about these companions of the cave and how Allah protected them, how Allah guided them and gave them a good ending. And then pray that you can handle your trials like they did without compromising the principles of allegiance and disassociation. So that's the end of this chapter of the book. And tomorrow, inshallah, we're going to continue by going to the next chapter. And I really like how Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid ended this wonderful chapter with the story of the youth of the cave. That's one of my favorite stories. It's a story that my stepfather used to read to me when I was a teenager going through my problems in life. Oh yeah, lailanasheeba was bad. Y'all know that granddaughter I got named Jayla. Lord, life is a circle. It comes back and bites you. I was a disrespectful little bad little 12-year, 13, 14-year-old girl. Oh yeah. I get to acting crazy and disrespectful. My stepfather would read the stories of the companions of the cave to me. And he'd tell me, what would you do? Are you anywhere like them, Layla? And that would chill me out. I'd get back on track. I'd apologize. After my mother whooped my butt, because my stepfather never whooped me. My mother would. After my mother whooped my behind, I'd apologize and get myself back on track. Okay? All right, I'm going to stop right here. Supana kala huma wa bihamdika, ashadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Are there any questions or comments? Yeah, that story is very motivating. It gives you the encouragement and motivation to handle your trials of life with dignity. It also lets you know that you're not alone, that the struggles that we're going through are nothing compared to what happened to the people that came before us. History just repeats itself, guys. Yes. Okay, go ahead. Any questions? Any questions in that Zoom room?
I mean, this story is very powerful. Like, it just reminds me you have to take the first step, because a lot of the times our family is the scariest stepping stone, especially if you're like the only Muslim or the only practicing one in your family, and you have to kind of defy them. But I remember you said something where it was like, oh, your actions are angering them, but they're pleasing to Allah.
Yes.
And that's kind of what matters most.
And also, guys, a lot of you, my students, are following that group. A lot of for those of you who don't know, my students here, they grew up on my website. They were coming here at the age of 10, and they come from Muslim. They were born Muslim. They come from Muslim families, but families don't practice the religion, or families are into innovation and deviation and all of that. So, a lot of my kids here, they were alone dealing with the drama of their family members, the innovation, the deviation, being called a fanatic, an extremist because you're refusing to shake hands and bow. I remember one of my Nigerian sisters, she went through a lot, because in their Nigerian culture, they bow. And she refused to bow to her grandparents. I'll never forget. She refused to bow to her father and mother, and they got angry at her. And she called me on the phone. She said, Sister Layla, tell them, they're thinking I'm being disrespectful. And I remember I spoke to her mother and I spoke to her father. They didn't want to listen to me because I'm a woman. So I had Sheikh Morsi call them. And they respected listening to Sheikh Morsi. But that was a hard thing, for her to tell them, I'm not going to bow anymore. She said, all this bowing and kissing, I'm not doing that anymore. She said, I'm only going to bow to Allah. And that was hard. So a lot of the kids here struggle, especially if you come from innovative backgrounds. A lot of my Muslim youth here struggle with this type of stuff. Yeah. It's a question here too. Okay, let me see. Hold on. I'm the brother type. Let me see. A sister, what is this? A sister wants to know if it's permissible to touch dogs. There's nothing in Islam that says we cannot touch dogs. Okay, whenever somebody tells us that something is haram, they have to bring the clear evidence. There's nothing that says we cannot touch a dog. Okay. Yeah. Okay, go ahead, brother. Okay, this brother is saying that he made salat and he realized after the last rakat that he made 5 rakats instead of 4. So he's asking, what do you do in that case? Okay, remember we talked about the prostrations of sujood, but it's different. If you make more rakats, then you give salams first and then do 2 prostrations of sujood. Okay? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam once he said, if ever a person does more rakats after you taslim, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, assalamu alaikum, then do 2 prostrations of sujood, that'll take away the extra rakah. Okay? Yeah, but those two are done after the taslim, not before. Yeah. You got it? Okay, mashallah. Well, since you didn't know, don't worry about it. Yeah, Allah doesn't hold you accountable for what you didn't know, but now you know what to do next time. You're good. Your prayer, yes, your prayer is accepted. Inshallah, your prayer is accepted because you did not know. So you're fine. Yeah, Islam is easy. You're fine. Yeah, okay, let's see another question here. A sister also wants to know what to do if she's spotting. Okay, again, there's no such thing as spotting. Okay, if she's got blood coming out, then she's on her period. That's her period. She needs to wait until her period ends. A woman's menses is not determined by the number of days in which she bleeds. The Prophet ﷺ said a woman's period is determined by the color of the blood. And a woman's period changes. Ramadan just ended. So of course everybody's cycle is going to change. The Prophet ﷺ said if you see red, black, brown, yellow, or pink coming out of you, that's a menses. So you don't pray until it stops. And don't rush it. Okay? So yes, it's a period. Okay? She's rushing it. Like Aisha told the women, stop rushing, you women. Stop thinking it's based on days. Every woman's cycle changes. Our cycle changes whenever we go through a different experience in life. Our moods, our emotions, stress, fasting. That stuff changes your cycle, throws your body off. That's called PMS. That's the deficiency that we have as women. So when you start bleeding, you just wait till it stops. You're on your period. Yeah, any other questions? And by the way, women, go to a doctor and get checked out too. I mean, I found out that a lot of my students here don't go to doctors. I don't know what's wrong with you people. Hello? You women better go to a doctor. A woman should go to a doctor twice a year, you young girls. I'm an old woman and I go once a year. But when I was young, twice a year. You sisters need to go and get pep tests. You women need to have pep tests done. How many of you ain't had a pep test? Shame on you. Anyone over the age of 18 should get a pep test done. Every year. Not once every 10 years, once a year. Y'all better get it together. Your body is an amana. Your body is a trust. Your body is going to testify against you in that grave. It's going to say, oh Allah, she didn't go to the doctor and get a pep test. So I got cancer in me and I had to have a hysterectomy. Oh Allah, she didn't go to the doctor and I gave her the warning signs. I was bleeding here and bleeding there. That's a sign that something's wrong. You women better start taking care of y'all's bodies and going to doctors. SubhanAllah. Your bodies are going to be testifying against y'all, man. That means y'all going to do some time in hell. You're going to do some time in hell for not taking care of your bodies. Oh, yeah. Think about it, women. Yeah, I go twice a year and get checked out. Oh, yeah, and I'm an old lady. Get your teeth done, too. Some of y'all got some bad teeth. Hello, take care of them teeth. Okay, any other questions? Yeah, at 6 o'clock. Yeah, 9 o'clock. Yes, we have my 9 o'clock class, guys. I did post it up. The book, Articles of Belief. I put the pages up, didn't I? Yes. The pages are posted up on Facebook. And did I post them up on? It's on YouTube. I hope I posted it up on Facebook. I'm going to go check. All right. Okay, so I'm going to log out for right now. Inshallah, guys, I'll be back here at 9 for the Articles of Belief. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. And what is this? Somebody sent me. What is this? Not into that.
Nothing on Facebook, Sister Layla.
Oh, I didn't post it.